Welcome to the Motivated Martial Arts Podcast. Your hosts, Jackson White and Gavin Cook, have been friends and Taekwondo training partners for over 40 years. This podcast will bring you a mixture of their life stories, martial arts, and business experiences to motivate you in life and throughout your martial arts journey. Adding in a mixture of inspiring interviews and some of the best traditional martial artists around today. So over to your hosts, the Motivated Martial Artists.
And welcome to the Motivated Martial Artists with me, Jackson White.
And me, Gavin Cook.
And today we've got a real treat for you. We're going to be speaking to a Taekwondo practitioner. She's a former world champion. She's a current European champion. She's a keen fighter and somebody that I used to train with when I was participating in the Taekwondo British squad, Vicky Jones. Welcome, Vicky.
Hi.
Hello. How you doing?
I'm good, thanks. Are you?
Good, thank you.
Yeah, really good. Good to get you onto the show at last. I know it's been a hard-fought battle chasing you down, Vicky, hasn't it?
I'm hiding quite a lot.
Right, you can't hide today, so you're going to be totally exposed, which is going to be great. So I'm going to pass you over to Gavin, and he's going to fire off with the first question.
Okay then, Vicky. So really, we just want to give our audience a bit of an insight into you, into how you started martial arts, your upbringing, your schooling, your education, things like that, and what sort of took you on the martial arts journey, really. So over to you.
Okay, I'm from Winsford, which is like a small town in the middle of nowhere. Normal upbringing, normal school, nothing out of the ordinary. I started karate first when I was about... What's
karate? I've never heard of that.
When I was like 8.
Karate.
I'm joking.
That by pronunciation. Right.
So for our viewers that don't know, I think, is it safe to say, are you a Scouser, Vicky?
No, I'm not, but a lot of my family are.
Okay, well, you've got a similar sort of twang, haven't you?
Yeah, well, Winsford's got the overspill from Liverpool and Manchester years and years ago, apparently. So you get a bit.
Okay. So that's where the karate came from.
Yeah. So I started karate when I was about, I think it was 8. It was a form of self-defense, got a few issues outside school and confidence. So started that, but I quit when I was on yellow belt. And then I joined Taekwondo at the age of 11, so in 96. And I joined that because my cousins did it and joined my school. And they were doing it in the playground when they probably shouldn't have been. But I joined with them.
What was it that made you leave the karate in the first instance, Victoria?
The instructor, really. I was quite shy, believe it or not. I was quite shy when I was younger, not very confident. So the instructor was quite loud and quite forward and stuff like that. So it wasn't really for me. And there was an incident when you do press-ups and you don't know how to do them right as a kid. And you keep your arms straight and just move your body type thing.
Like you do them now, you mean?
Yeah. I think, Jackie still does them like that. And so when I was doing that, one of the things we didn't do it right, we stand your fingers, stood on my fingers, then wet again.
Oh, nice.
It's quite a bit old school. I used to shout a lot and it put me off. But it didn't put me off martial arts, though. It just put me off karate, should I say. So obviously, when my cousins joined the school, that's when I was 11, so it was a couple of years later. My cousins joined the school. They were doing Taekwondo, and I said, "What they do when they do it in the playground?" And so, "Why don't you come along?" So I went along with them, which my mum and dad weren't too. Well, my mum wasn't too pleased about, because when I asked to go originally, she said no because she bought me all the karate gear, and then I quit. So obviously, it cost money. So I went and asked my dad, and he said yeah, because it's about defending yourself and things like that. So my mum said I could go as long as if I quit, I'll have to pay all the money back. Which when you only get pocket money of £2 a week at the time, I'll be in debt forever.
Yeah. So the instructor standing on your finger, he's a bit loud, he's a bit brash. How important do you think it is as now that you're an adult? The type of instructor and mentor that you get in your martial arts class, is it good to be on that right side, or do you need someone on the left, in the middle? What's your opinion on that?
Well, it needs to be in the middle, definitely. Because it also depends what type of student you've got as well. So if you've got someone who needs, like, obviously needs a bit of discipline, needs to be told, messes about a lot, you probably have to be really, really strict with them. But with someone who's not very confident and thinks they're doing it right, it's probably not the best way to say you do it wrong, or not the best way to go about it, is it?
I think it's being consistent though as well, isn't it? It's being consistent as an instructor to make sure that, you know, the way your mannerisms and your tone and the way you deliver your instructions is the same really for everybody. Yeah. So people don't feel like, one, you're being picked on, and even though it's difficult because you always get those kids in your class that you want to be like, oh, right, if he does that again, you know, I'm gonna stand on his fingers, or I'm gonna make him do a sitting stance with a candle under his bum. You know, you can't do those things anymore.
No, that's true. Yeah, but it depends what type of person you've got as well, isn't it? If you've got a kid that's shy, you treat them differently to someone that you probably like runs around who's quite not cocky but quite confident. You probably needs toning down.
Spirited. I think the word spirited, isn't it?
Is probably better. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, so you started when you were 11. Can you talk us through your first Taekwondo grading? Can you remember that far back?
The grading, no, I don't remember the grading, but I do remember it was before my grading actually, a tournament, like a Christmas tournament. Okay. I wasn't in the TAGB at the time. I was in a different one, and I was there the second lesson in, because I joined near Christmas basically. So I went in one lesson, fine, my cousins enjoyed it. It was like the normal, like walking stances and things like that. And then the second lesson, because it was near Christmas, was like a Christmas mini tournament just for the people in the club, for the kids really. And they had a Christmas do afterwards. So I went to the second lesson, I went straight into a mini tournament. So I had to do just walking stances for my part in the patterns. I changed direction like you would do for directional, but just the walking stances. And then and they said, do you want to have a go at sparring? I never actually sparred, not even put any gear on. And I went in against some green tags because it was only a small club. And had a go. That's what I first experienced as sparring a tournament, really.
And how'd you get on?
I don't know, right? I think I got 2 silvers in the end. But
there you go. These was it?
I used both legs, which I don't know what I can't do now.
Was it like presumably it was like a little inter-club competition, was it?
Yeah, it's just within the class, if you know what I mean. It wasn't like an official or anything.
Okay, so then that was your first experience, I suppose, as a competition. Did you continue entering competitions after that? Did you get the buzz from that, or was it something else? I
enjoyed it, but we didn't really have many competitions. So the competitions were like once a year, so you didn't have really that much opportunity to go to them really, and especially if you end up on holiday when they come up, like family holidays, you wouldn't go. So it was literally maybe once a year. Maybe went longer if you're on a holiday. And
presumably you did the sort of TAGB national, national and regional competitions with your club, did you?
No, because that wasn't a TAGB, like I say. It was small. No, it's a very small club. So I think there was one I did in Coventry that was I don't know what. I think it was a bigger one, but I don't know what it was like.
Okay. So when did you move to a bigger gym then?
I moved to the TAGB quite late in, I think it was 2009.
Okay.
As a black belt, because I moved to a few different clubs in there, in between that.
Oh, so you're a Taekwondo gypsy then?
I am.
Okay.
Unintentionally, because obviously my club that I was in, I played football alongside it. Right. Football took over. Then when I come into Taekwondo, because I took an injury, my other club had moved. Well, I thought it closed, but it looked like it moved. But and I joined a different one.
Okay.
So I stayed there for a bit. Took my black belt because I was already when I left originally, I was already a black tag.
Yeah.
So they said that the other association said I can keep the belt. We had to wait and make sure I do all the stuff. So I graded to black belt, and then not long after that, I moved into the TAGB where there's more tournaments and.
Okay, I understand that.
So who did you grade with your black belt with then, Vicky?
My black belt was with Verve Taekwondo. I don't know if you've heard of it.
No.
John Swift.
Okay, cool.
And
the club was affiliated to it, so it wasn't in their area. As I say, we're in the middle of nowhere.
how did you find that? Obviously training with different instructors all the time and different associations. How did you find that? Because I know I have people join my club from other associations, and sometimes you see them. And sometimes you see them and they're good, and other times you see them and they're not so good. But then sometimes they have the sine wave. Some of them, have the sine wave style, and then you get some that don't, and you get some that have a bit of both because they've trained with a sine wave club and a non-sine wave club within the ITF. And it can be quite difficult sometimes to fit in, can't it?
Yeah. So the original club was GTF, and then it was the same instructor, but that split. So I ended up going under AMA, but with the same instructor.
Okay.
Then after that, I went into it was a Verve setup, but it was like an affiliated club. I'm not fully out sure how they worked, and then I moved into the TAGV. So there was a couple of different syllabus differences and a couple of pattern differences as well. So like say you've got your sine wave, that varied between them all. And also there was like things like in Yulgot, for example, some technical different where you start and you got the slow punch at the beginning. Mm-hmm. In some of them, you bring it up that way. So it goes up. Yeah. You raise your hand, and there's loads of little things like that, and a couple of things in the two-step as well. So yeah, it was difficult and different, and also the fact they have got added pad work. Some of them had kicking patterns.
Okay, yeah, I've heard of those, yeah.
Yeah. So there's a few different elements as well. Some included self-defense in the grading, some didn't. So yeah, like I say, sine wave, that's a big one.
Sure.
So there's a few differences.
Okay. So I know you're a big competition goer. When did that sort of fire in your tummy get sparked for competitions? Because sometimes it's a slow burner, isn't it? Sometimes you go in there and people, we've spoken to a lot of martial artists, and from doing this podcast, and you get a lot of martial art, a lot of good competitors that lost, but just never gave up that will to win. But then you get people that just love it from day one and are spurred on. So how did it sort of go for you?
It was the fact that I liked the sparring more than anything. So obviously we didn't have competitions that regular because we like once a year at the start, or not even that. When I did, it was against boys and girls. It was mixed ages as well. And then at 15, I think it was, I went into open age adults with one of them. And I say I didn't really win. It's one of those. Well, sometimes I did the odd medal. Well, I did sometimes with the kids, but I didn't always win. Especially against open age adults when I was only weighed about 46 kilo. Right. So I was at the wrong end completely. So yeah, it was just one of them. Just enjoyed doing it. I never expected to win. So that was the thing, I think, more than anything.
And do you tend to compete at both patterns and sparring, or pattern sparring and breaking, should I say?
No, just the patterns and sparring. Okay. It wasn't really I used to get nervous. The problem was I found difficult with competing was in my nerves. I didn't like standing up in front of people, and I didn't as a kid either. So I took to the sparring more because if you're in a ring and someone's going to hit you, your focus is not around the people around you.
Yeah.
You focus on the person in front. And sometimes it took me to get hit to wake myself up a little bit.
The thing is,
Gavin's like that. He just blocked the first 3 or 4 techniques with his face, and then he sparked into life, didn't you, Gav?
You feel great after that, don't you? After you've been punched in the nose a few times, you realise you're in a fight.
It's more like stage fright. So when someone hits you, sometimes I took a hit first, woke me up a bit, then I thought I need to get myself into gear. Whereas patterns I found really difficult because it's only you literally there, and you can see everyone around you. It's very difficult to black them out. So at first I never used to compete in patterns at all, because I had the one experience I did do when I was younger. You had to go up in twos, and I was against a little girl, tiny, smaller than me, and I just froze. I couldn't move off the spot. And then even when they give me the first move, and I couldn't even move off the spot to do the first move, and they give me it. So that put me off patterns completely. So I didn't start patterns until I went to the TAGV. which my instructor persuaded me to. So I still wasn't going to go do patterns.
Right. So who's your instructor within the PADB?
Ruth Char.
Ruth.
Ruth
Oh,
Char.
okay. Good. And you know, like I say, you're competing now. Certainly, you know, we certainly see it at the competition circuit a lot of the national stuff. When did you decide to start going to squad training and getting involved with the England squad then?
Well, it's Ruth again. Like say, I didn't know about any of the squads or anything like that because I wasn't in the TAGB, so I didn't know. I just thought it was another class near us. They might do some more competitions. I didn't know the scale of it, so to speak. So when I joined Ruth, obviously I had to retake my black belt again, with a black tag. I think it had to be reassessed.
Yeah.
So I've done a couple as a black tag at first, and then Ruth was saying, "Oh, why don't you?" Obviously, to do more sparring, because we've only got a small club, and not everyone spars in your club, as you know. She introduced me to squad training. She came with me for the first one. And then we also went to Ralph Minnott's as well before. He used to do a squad session, or a session before. So then I started going to other places then started going on my own.
Okay.
Just for the sparring, really.
Yeah. So how did you find the squad training when you first turned up to it then?
Hard. Very hard, right? Yeah, I did. I think I spent most of the time getting beat up, I think. The fitness I felt all right because I played football. So the fitness was all right, like running, stuff like that. But the actual sparring, yeah, because I hadn't actually learned to spar as such when I've been before. We just sparred. I just went in one direction, which was forward. Which, when you get experienced people, they can get around you quite easily, and sometimes it hurt because you walked into things. Right?
Yeah, I think I remember watching you fight. God, it must have been in possibly 2010, 2010 championships, maybe. You in the TAGB then?
I would. Yeah, so yeah, I was in then. Yeah, I would have been was it a black belt or?
Yeah, I think it was a black belt.
Yeah, I think it was a black belt then. Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
No,
I was shocked. I was shocked to see such a small, petite lady just constantly steaming forward. For every kick you took, though, you were giving 3 or 4 really hard hands back and a good back leg. I was thinking, bloody hell, she could be dangerous if she could, learn how to fight better.
That's because I hadn't been taught to fight as such. I just learnt techniques to just threw them, so to speak, and see what happened.
Okay, so obviously you continued training with the national squad. When was your first selection into the ladies team?
Yeah, 2015 it was for Canada, so it was straight into the GB squad.
Was that your first trip?
It was, yeah.
I do remember that trip well.
I had a gap out again. So when I got my black belt, I got my black belt, and then I'd done 2 tournaments, or was it? Yeah, 2 tournaments, or was it 1? 1 or 2, and it wasn't one of many, in the black belt division, and then my knee went again. So I was out for a while, so I had to stop training. Mm-hmm. For a bit because I was injured, and then obviously started going back into squad when I was come back in after about 18 months.
Right. Okay.
So then obviously I had time out, so I hadn't really got anywhere or started doing anything in the black belt division. I'd only been 1 to 2 tournaments, so I think one of them was like a small regional one.
Okay. And I can't remember. How did you get on in Canada?
Yeah, won it.
Yeah. Good stuff. Is that just sparring or patterns as well? Didn't we all had to do patterns on that competition, didn't we?
Yeah, I think it was sparring patterns. I think we done.
Go on. You can grass Jackie up then. What did he do, Chunji?
I can't remember now.
Sam Hill actually, Mr. Cook.
Yeah. I think we had to go at team patterns as well, but at one point. But we made it. We sort of had a practice while we were there because we haven't prepared to do one of those.
Yeah, no, that's normally the way, isn't it? Just make it up as you go along.
Oh, that might have been Italy, thinking about it. I can't remember. Right, it seemed ages ago. Right.
I know. It does seem a long time ago now. So what weight category do you normally fight at then?
Lightweight, so under 55.
Under 55, okay. And do you struggle getting down to that weight, or is it something you're just naturally at?
It's just my natural weight. In fact, when I first did black belt, I was probably sitting around 51, I think. So I found I was getting kicked out the ring. Even when I blocked it, I was like going further than I needed to. So I tried to up it a bit for one of the worlds, and And then I thought I might go a bit too far, if you know what I mean. Over, I don't want to get too close, I'm not used to it. But yeah, so in the middle, quite happy to be in the middle, which I am generally in the middle now since I've been injured.
Okay, and all the so you're still fighting, which is great. So, what would you say, certainly from a competitive side, who has been your most fierce adversary on the mat? You know, that person you come up against time and time again, and you know it's going to be an all-out war.
Well, when I first started, it was obviously in the black belt division. There was loads because you got Nikki Turek, you had Taz being a big one. Taz, Nikki Turek. I think there was Katie Elliott was fighting then as well. Jodie Chomosky, she used to fight then as well. And then obviously now you've got likes of Alice, you've got Kerry, you've got some, Nikki Turek sometimes fights as well, doesn't she? But I suppose the big one now is probably Alice, who's my teammate as well.
Yeah, I can imagine that's because she's quite tall, isn't she?
She is, yeah.
Yeah. So just so our viewers, how tall are you, Vicky?
5'1".
Is you sure it's 5'1"? Don't forget the one. It's definitely the one. Okay.
Definitely the one. I'm holding on to that one.
Okay, just going back a bit then. So you were outside of Taekwondo. You mentioned that you do football. Just talk us through a little bit of the football experience that you had.
Yeah, did. Yeah, I don't know. I used to play just girls. Well, started in the lads, playing football with lads on the front, as you do. And there wasn't any girls teams really at the time. So it didn't really take it any further than that at the time. In my primary school, didn't have a girls team because it wasn't like it is now. And I wasn't old enough to go in the boys team. Eventually they let me in. So I was the only girl in the boys team. And then after that, trying to join a team outside, there wasn't any. And eventually there was one that set up, but I was in the sort of the wrong bracket for the age. I was on the border when you go from school years. Mm-hmm. So I just went training with them for a bit. And then eventually they managed to get a small team together and just joined the local team. So I played locally for Winsford. And then I ended up moving to Crewe, I think, after then. We went in Albion. And eventually I did have a couple of trials for the county, Blackburn, Rovers Centre of Excellence, which I didn't get in. And then I got scouted with the Everton.
Okay. Really good. So quite a high standard then.
Yeah, I could say that. I just like playing.
Yeah, of course. So what position did you play in football?
Left wing or left back. I used to go between the two, but generally left wing.
No left back in the changing room jokes, Gavin.
Not quite.
You get those all the time.
That's more like your football skills.
That's definitely my football skills. Yeah. If anyone's ever played football with me, yeah, I've either damaged myself or damaged them. I've got 2 banana feet and a 50p on my head. So if I've ever tried heading the ball, there's no prediction of where the ball's going to end up.
I used to love football until I started Taekwondo. And then once I used to get so into Taekwondo training and no football training, the ball used to come where everyone else is heading it. You always go for a high section turning kick and almost take people's faces off.
See, I didn't do that because if I jumped, a lot of people are taller than me. So generally, I wouldn't get the ball. So as I jumped up, I just hit over shoulder into the hip, especially if you're tall and you've got a lower sense of gravity, and it just knocks them off course and it'll drop in front of me. There's little ways around it.
So you mentioned, was it an injury that stopped you playing football then?
Yeah, so I took an injury when I was in the second year of uni. I was playing football at the time and took an injury. We thought it was just a twist, and it obviously wasn't. And that took me out I was out for about 3 years, which is quite a long time to be out of sport. And I also got told I wouldn't play again.
Right.
So it was about 3 years in total, or 3 seasons I've been out for. But I did end up playing again, obviously. Went back to Winsford, a local team. And at the time, it wasn't quite the same. I wasn't quite the same either. So that's the point when I joined back at the Taekwondo again.
Right, okay.
Because obviously, before that, I was doing the Taekwondo and the football. And obviously, once I got the trials and got through into Everton, I dropped the Taekwondo.
you think you would have dropped the football if you got through? What's your first love, Taekwondo or football?
That's a hard one. Very hard. I probably Taekwondo's been harder, probably. I'd say because it's the second sport, isn't it, so to speak?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a hard one. I can't answer that.
Go on, you've got to answer it. Well, the thing is, one's, I mean, they're totally different, aren't they? For starters, but one's a team sport as well, and one's an individual, isn't it? So, it's like, I get lots of people in my club that, and Jackie has the same. You get kids in and people in that don't particularly take to team sports. That like that individual. The thing about Taekwondo is great because
individualness,
individualness. You progress at your own speed. It doesn't matter what your friends doing next to you, whether they continue or not. You could still keep going and obviously, conquer whatever you want to conquer in that field.
Yeah,
really.
I suppose with the football though, because obviously I couldn't play in a team at the start, so I was learning off my mates at home. Obviously they went to football training. I didn't at first because I couldn't. And any state, I think they don't step over anything. I'd be like, how'd you do that? And they'd show me, and then I'd practice a little bit on my own, right? Because you weren't getting taught, so to speak. And then eventually I was allowed to train with the lads at one point, but then they wouldn't let me play in the matches. So yeah, a lot of it I probably did teach myself at the start, really, or off my mates just playing out on the front on the street.
Cool.
So it's got to say that in that respect to Taekwondo, because your individual skills are yourself, aren't they? Really.
Yeah. Have you ever needed to use any of your Taekwondo skills outside of the dojo?
A couple of occasions.
Ooh, that's
yeah. I suppose when you first go out on nights out when you're a bit older, I remember a wrist grab. I had to use a wrist grab at one stage. Someone tried to grab me in the shop. I think they were just trying to get me to buy stuff when you're abroad.
Yeah.
But it did make you feel a bit uncomfortable that they grabbed me to pull me in, and there wasn't many people in the shop, and he wouldn't let go. And then he used like a wrist grab, so I had to hit them as such.
And have you still got your fake Tag Her watch?
Or your joke Lex?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So you're still fighting. So just talk us through the type of training that you do now, and how that's changed from when you just first started and just got in the ring and just went forward. So what sort of things have you been doing to improve? Well,
when I first started the training, because obviously I was playing football at the same time, so I've done the football training. So my weekend consisted of on the Saturday I'd go to squad training. Possibly do routes as well, because this was 2 hours before in the same venue. And then the next day I went to Oldham to train with Master Lawrence. And then, well, this depended when my football was. If this football's in Manchester, then I'd cross over and play the football match. Obviously, this was after Everton, type thing. I wouldn't have done that before. And then, obviously, if my football was in a different area, then on a Sunday, obviously, I wouldn't do the Taekwondo at all. So I've done quite a lot of training in terms of mixing them both. So I've done the football training, the Taekwondo, and I've done a bit of the gym, but not as much at the time. Now, as in because I've got an injury, I spend most of my time in the gym. I'd say now, probably less of the sparring, mainly because of my injury, and still doing the Taekwondo, obviously, but obviously there's no football involved. Yeah, before the Worlds, different again. So before the Worlds, I was doing the squad training, going up to training different places. So I was training my instructor, going up to the Will and Chester, training on their sparring session, because they have separate sessions. So I used to go up on a Thursday night and do the sparring at there, and again mix it in with the gym. Yeah,
it's just trying to get as much variety as possible, I suppose. A bit of cross training, and then sparring different people.
Yeah, and then I cross train with the boxing as well.
Okay.
The boxing club, which I still do.
You must have found it quite difficult over COVID then. Being a youngster in your prime and in the squad and everything. It's what have you done to sort of keep yourself occupied over the lockdown?
Really, really difficult. So I've been doing. Obviously, I've had my injury flare up for the last 18 months. So because of that, I've had to completely change the way I train again. So it's constantly changing. So because I've been working with Sarah on the squad, squad physio, and I've also, because the gym, I spent most of the time in the gym, I was getting really bored, like more time in the gym than I was doing Taekwondo, which is not the way around you want it, is it?
No, definitely not.
So because of that, I've had to spend more time in the gym. So I've got been using a PT that's helped me, just on focusing on my knee mainly. But he's been helping keeping the fitness up over the COVID period. Okay. So I've been doing online Zoom sessions with him. Obviously with an instructor with the Taekwondo, and then the squad we've been doing online. We've got stretching class that we're doing on a Monday, and then we're doing the squad session on a Thursday between us to keep us going.
Keep you going. Yeah, good stuff.
And it's quite good now because now the boxing's opened up. Well, it's opened up sort of. You can't do pad work and stuff, but you can use the bags and limited people and stuff. So that's back open now, so that makes it a bit easier.
Yeah, it gives a bit more variety, doesn't it? So I think for the viewers that don't know, I'm sure you won't mind me saying. So you're one half of a squad couple, aren't you?
Yep.
Yeah. So hopefully we'll get your boyfriend on it at some stage. So I'm keen to know, who's the best fighter out of you two? So do you ever,
me?
Oh, there you go. I knew you were going to say that, and I think Luke could probably agree as well, wouldn't he?
Well, I hope he would. I'm not sure.
Do you ever spar each other then? How does that work?
In the club, we spar each other in the club.
Not over COVID. Have you not cleared some space in your living room and just had a bit of a sparring session?
We haven't got much space in the living room, but I must admit on the squad sessions, because obviously we do shadow sparring with the squad, we end up kicking each other at some point, like on purpose. Okay,
so let me get this right. So a week together, you're getting really annoyed with him. Right, come on, we're going sparring class tonight, Luke. You're gonna get it handed to you. Is that how it goes?
Yeah, it's more like sneaky things. Yeah, more like this sneaky stuff when you're sparring. Yeah,
just a quick elbow or a quick oh, sorry for the low kick, Luke. I'll teach him. Toilet seat down. Put that lid back on the toothpaste next time. So how does that, does it help having a partner that's also motivated in your sport? Just sometimes you not feel like going somewhere and it's like, come on, get your kit, we're going, and vice versa.
Yeah, it does with that.
Motivate each other.
When we trained before the World, it was literally like most nights. And obviously you're travelling, so you'll spend a lot of time in the car. That was, because sometimes you get home from work and you're like, one of us doesn't like, oh, do we have to travel? Can't we just go somewhere local? But the better sessions would be going to like the sparring sessions and things. So yeah, if one of us didn't feel like we were, so well, I'm going anyway. So you tend to go if you're going anyway. Right? So that's how it worked. But me and Luke do train differently. That's the thing. Or we do now.
He strives and you train hard, you mean?
Yeah, well, he doesn't. Yeah, he doesn't like the gym for a start. He doesn't like the gym, and also he does a lot of running, which I can't do with my knee.
Yeah, sure.
So, and he's pretty good at running. So we do train a bit different.
Cool. So who's the higher Dan in your house?
We're both the same at the minute.
Oh yeah. Okay.
He caught me up. I've been doing Taekwondo longer, but he caught me up.
He's caught you up, yeah. Fair enough.
You want to get your next Dan done while there's no sparring in, no line, and there's going to be 3-step sparring, 2-step sparring in the line work as well. Obviously, next black belt grading is going ahead, isn't it? It'll be interesting.
It is, yeah.
Interesting. The first socially distanced black belt grading. It's going to be interesting for sure.
Yeah.
It'll be different, that's for sure.
Yeah, get yourself on it quick. And then you can get him to make you cups of tea every morning and make sure he bows to you, calls your mom.
You have to do call then. Yeah, call rank.
That's it, yeah.
It is hard though for martial artists that predominantly love sparring. I mean, that's what's kept me in the sport all the years, and I know probably Jackson the same. If it wasn't for the sparring and the competition side of Taekwondo, I probably would have tailed off. In my teens and early 20s, and it's really the sparring side that's kept us going. But if you're one of those sparrers, it's difficult, isn't it? Because at the moment we can't spar. You don't really know when we're going to be able to spar again. Nope. I mean, it could be there's no competitions. I can't imagine there's going to be any competitions until probably the end of next year, if even that's possible. Yeah. It's quite uncertain, isn't it? And it's difficult, and it's trying to keep that motivation, not just for you, but also certainly for us, for your students. Do you run a club, Vicky? You guys?
No, I don't. No, I don't run a club.
But but even having that motivation between your peers, I suppose. Have you found that the motivation it's dropped off? It's been hard, when you've been.
It's hard, definitely, because you can't. There's only so many things you can do. Well, in a gym or even at home.
Zoom call.
Just stay home. There's only so many things you can do, and it's like that reaction, and it's not the same. Even just me and Luke sparring type thing. It's not the same, is it? We've got to have the space.
I know, but it's bored beating him up, don't you?
Yeah, well, to be fair, we haven't done much. Yeah, to be fair, we've not done much sparring because obviously work, space.
I suppose he's fed up of getting beat up as well.
And then obviously I didn't have space in the garden either because we had recently had it done. Now it's flat, so we actually probably could now because we weren't able to do it. You don't know where space.
I thought you'd have built a dojang in the back garden like Mr. Miyagi.
I'm working on converting the garage. It's in progress.
Oh, good stuff.
It's difficult to stay motivated.
What does the future hold then, Vicky? What's your sort of your goals and aspirations for the future? I know you guys are quite young. What is it you want to achieve in your martial arts life, and just life in general, I suppose?
That's a hard one because I didn't expect to achieve anything in the Taekwondo or the football really. So I probably overachieved in what I thought I was going to achieve. I didn't expect to do anything. To me, it wasn't like the winning medals as such. It's actually doing the taking part. Yeah. That and being able to do it. I suppose when you've been out with an injury, got told you couldn't do any sport again. It's more the case. The more important thing is that you'll be able to do it and join in and have a challenge rather than the actual result as such. Because I think a lot of people now, don't they? They if you don't get a medal, you don't think they're any good, or that's it. Yeah. You don't win, especially some of the kids. If you don't get a medal, so that's it. It's
we were
about enjoying.
We were having this conversation with a guest earlier this morning, and we were just talking. Was it Nathan, wasn't it? I think it was Nathan that was talking to her, saying that when he was when we in the old school training, you never used to get awards for turning up. You never used to get awards. You never even used to get recognition from your instructor. There was never any nice words said. It was always, that's wrong. That's wrong. Do that again. No, that's wrong. And when your instructor turns around to you one day and says, Gavin, that was a good kick, it's almost like, wow. And you remember it. You can remember them saying it. Where these days, everyone gets praised for, we went to your first competition. Well done. That must have been awesome for buying a ticket and turning up. And it's like, well, actually, you know what? It's not, is it? You know what I mean? When we never used to get praised for that sort of stuff. Even when you win, you never used to get praised.
Yeah, I think it depends on the type of person you are, though, because if you're the type of person that doesn't like stand up in front of people like I would, to stand up and do a pattern, even if it went completely wrong,
it's a big thing, isn't it? Yeah, what's that achievement? Yeah.
Yeah, so it depends on that person. But I do agree with that you shouldn't just get medals or certificates for taking part as such, because it's only if one person wins, don't they? At the end of the day, not everyone can have. Not everyone can be first place.
Everyone can be first place. No, you're right.
Yeah, and it gives you something to work towards.
Yeah,
yeah.
To me, it wasn't it's not. Yeah, it's good to win. That's the aim, obviously, but I actually enjoy the actual sparring.
Sure. So, what motivates you to get up in the morning then these days, Vicky?
These days, my dog. He wants to go out.
And that's why I've not got a dog, Gavin. I like my lions.
I know.
Yeah, if we don't get up early enough before work to take you for a walk, or I tend to do the gym stuff on my knee in the morning before work, so I can do the training with Taekwondo, boxer, whichever, in the evening.
Okay, cool.
Make sure I get my knee stuff with my injury type thing.
Yeah, sure. So really getting motivated, you rehabbing your knee is motivating you, I suppose.
Yeah, so to carry on doing the things I enjoy doing for as long as possible, so to speak.
Okay then. So we're going to wrap up in a minute, but before we do, we always get this final question in. It's quite key. You've gone through quite an incredible journey from the martial arts, the football, back to the martial arts, and then swapping around a couple of associations, and now being a successful competitor in the TAGB and the Taekwondo arena. So what advice would you give to a younger self given what you know now about life and sports and martial arts and everything else, what advice would you give to a younger self?
Don't worry about what people think, and it's not that bad standing up in front of people sometimes, like type thing. Don't worry, mainly not to worry about what people think, and do what you enjoy. So find something you enjoy, because obviously it's not just about the martial arts. It's not just about the competing, is it? It's about doing something for a long period until when you're older. With the football, it's not, you can't do that as much because you tend to go into, say, coaching, whereas the Taekwondo, and the martial arts, you can still do katas, the things you can still do, even when you're older.
Or patterns even.
Yeah, all patterns.
Yeah, that's like karate again, ain't it?
But I think it's finding something, when you're younger, it's finding something you enjoy. So my advice would be to people is to find something they enjoy that they can continue to stick with for the help as well, isn't it?
Yeah, brilliant. Okay, brilliant, Vicky. Do you know what? It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you today, and I'm glad you came on eventually. It's been good speaking to you.
Good to get you on the show. Excellent job.
Okay, so again, thank you very much for your time, Vicky. We really appreciate it, and I'm sure our listeners will enjoy hearing some of your stories.
Thanks, Vicky.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. Don't forget to like our Facebook page and our Facebook group, The Motivated Martial Artist Podcast.
Or check us out on Instagram, The Motivated Martial Artists,
where you'll see much more content and early insight into some of the interviews and some of the guests and some of the conversations around the things that we're discussing. Hope to see you all next week.
Bye for now.
Bye.